the man, the myth, the legend. How you feeling, my friend? You feeling good?
It's great to be with you, man. It's a Friday, and so, getting ready for the weekend here. Should be fun. It's preseason football, baseball, got a lot going on. It's cool.
I'm with you. Let me ask you, Pablo. Man, did the trade rumors really take him off that much of the his groove? Because he was pitching pretty well, and then as we got close to the trading deadline, the poor guy got off track, and he really has never been able to get back on track again. How is Pablo, man? Because he's a good pitcher, and I'm glad he wasn't traded, even though I still don't trust these folks long term. But I'm just wondering with Pablo, what have you been able to unearth in that situation?
Yeah, no, I don't know that. Maybe that start before the trade deadline had something to do with it, but
Oof.
he's been ambushed a lot in the first inning of some games this year. He just really hasn't pitched all that well, and then somehow, sort of puts it together. I mean, in the end, his ERA, I think it's like mid threes. And so I think we could probably come to the conclusion at this point that the April that he had is probably the anomaly, and the rest of the season combined with the April is sort of the norm. So to put him in that same category as Sandy,
Oh no.
or to say that he's an ace in baseball is probably false. I think that's probably false. I think,
I've always looked at him as like a 3 or a 4 in your rotation.
yeah, maybe two on the high side, but I think that he's never Orlando. He's never thrown this many innings in a season, and so he just could
Ooh,
simply be wearing down. And I think that
I
that's
didn't realize that.
yeah, he's already way above.
I didn't look at that actually. You know what? I never bothered to go look at his total innings pitched. And that is a very important factor for a lot of pitchers as they go deeper, as they're developing their arms at this level. You are right. I forgot about that. Wow.
He's only missed one start all year, and it wasn't even an arm issue. It was he got hit. I think he got hit in the wrist with a ball. So he's going to probably be rolled out here for the rest of the season and try to get to like 150, 160 innings. I think he's got a good shot at that, but maybe that has something to do with it. He would never make an excuse. He's the kind of guy that just makes no excuses.
I like him. That's why I just kind of hate to see him, fall so off the cliff here down the
Yeah,
stretch. And
yeah.
I like I told you, I think he's a rotational guy, like a 3 or a 4. Actually, is where I think if you have a good pitching staff, I still think you can get somebody better than him in between him and Sandy to be the number 2 guy. But so talk to me, man. We talked a little bit about this, earlier in the season when you. I believe you broke the story about that Mattingly kind of wanted to feel wanted. I think it was something like that.
Hmm.
Where's that going? Is Are we going to see a new manager with the Marlins next year?
I think so. I think there's a pretty good chance of that happening. I don't know, honestly, what Donnie is completely thinking, and we'll find out, I guess, at the end of the season. But it's certainly not a great sign for him to return that we're creeping in on September and they have not talked about an extension or sort of his future. Now, that has happened previously in the past with him once before. And then when it did, he signed a 2-year deal, or I'm sorry, he signed a 1-year deal, but then with an option that had to be picked up in July, which the Marlins did for this year. So again, I would just be guessing at this point, but his choice with Miami, I think Orlando will probably be, if he wants to accept a front office role at the end of the season, maybe like something along the lines of, we would call it a special assistant to the general manager. That's usually the transition that some managers have. Donnie is over 60 at this point, and could he get another managerial job in the big leagues? I suppose it's possible, but I don't know that he even wants to do that. I'm just not sure at this point. So if you're asking me to make a guess, it's that they have a mutual parting at the end of the year. There's no firing, and Miami offers him some role in the front office. Will he accept? I don't know the answer to that.
I know there's only 30 teams, so that's the cliche we use with every sport. So that's why you want one of those jobs. But also, you have to think, if you're really not committed to winning, do I really want to manage this? And that's the other thing that, okay, if Mattingly moves on, which he should, because why do you even want to coach, manage this team when they're really not committed? But here's the other thing now, whoever you get, you're really not going to get a top level manager, because top level managers are not going to want to come here because you're not committed to winning. So this just becomes like a vicious cycle that we're
Yeah,
continuing to
I
be
don't
in.
know that I agree with that. I think that any manager, Orlando, I'm sorry, any up and coming manager, like a bench coach of some kind, is not going to turn down the opportunity to
That's
be a
what I
big
mean. The
manager.
whole thing, yes, there's only 30 of them. I get it.
So I guess like if you were to ask if to your point, if I was to go by your point, would Joe Madden come manage the Marlins? Probably not. Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. But he's Joe Madden, you know? Like I think that there's probably a long list of bench coaches and former players that would take their first opportunity to coach this team. So any managerial job is to me a destination job. But to your point, like if Buck Showalter, who's now with the Mets, Joe Madden, managers who have sort of been through it, who have won a World Series, would they come here? I mean, look, that's hard for me to say. I still think that, like for example, the Rays have a bench coach who has interviewed now the last couple of years for jobs. Of course, that's going to be someone they'll probably interview again, and then we'll just have to see where they go. If that ends up happening, by the way, Mattingly could be back for all I know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. What is the plan, man? What is, it's like I hate to like kind of beat a dead horse almost, but are they do they have awareness of wanting to build anything? Because at least I see, I get that they're like in that Panther zone, but I give Viola and Sifu credit. They have committed long term and they're starting to get the results, on a long term basis. Is it what is it about this ownership group? What do they need to do? What do they need to see? Or is there no plans to really make a commitment to try to win?
I think that they have to take a deeper look at what they're doing inside their own building and look inside their front office and look inside their player development before anything else. Because remember, Orlando, if we're sitting here talking about this last year and we're having that conversation, who are the leaders of the team at that point? It's Derek Jeter, it's Gary Denbo. They're both gone. A
Right.
lot of the folks who have been brought into this organization by those individuals are still here. So what is their where's their future? Are they going to be with Kim Eng, or is Kim Eng going to have her own people? So I don't know that I know the answer to that as far as that is concerned. I know that we've talked about that they committed those two contracts to Soler and Garcia. I personally don't see them committing two contracts like that again this offseason, but the table is wide open for them to make trades to make the team a lot better, but they have to execute those trades. So I don't have the rosiest of outlooks, I guess. I felt a lot better last offseason going into this one. And then so many changes were made to the front office in the first few months of the season that it's kind of like I think that they may have to redo that again.
It's just, man, I just want baseball to grow and have some success here. We got a beautiful ballpark, man, that was built for it, and most of our town doesn't really enjoy it. I almost feel like they've enjoyed it more for some kind of a concert that's come through there or some kind of another event, not necessarily Marlins. That's how twisted I feel
Yeah, I
like people have
understand.
experienced the
I
damn
guess in
thing.
the end, for I'm not a good example of somebody to
No, of
talk
course
to
not.
about it because it's like I'm going to go no matter what, and my family's a baseball family, so we're going to go no matter what. But yeah, I totally understand it. I mean, look, even if you're losing, the one good thing about the games in general is that because they don't score a lot of runs at home, you're getting in and out of there within 3 hours, and that's not a joke. Like the pitching is good, so you're basically not having to spend 4 hours at the ballpark. But converse to that, it's like if you go to a game, Orlando, in Denver, the Rockies are not good, and they have not been good for a long time. But you're probably going to be entertained. Like there's
Yeah.
going to be some home runs and some runs scored. This has been an unwatchable team for almost 2 months.
Well, and the Rockies have tried too in the past, and they've,
They get 30,000 a night,
yeah.
30,000,
Yeah.
25,000.
It's a great sports town, period. You know what I mean? But overall, they have tried to win over the years, and they have kept some of their good players around and things like that. These are things that those are characteristics we have rarely ever shown here, and that's been the major problem also. And here's the other thing, and I wonder, and you're in that locker room, and you get to talk to the players, and you get to talk to agents and things like that. How much do young players also start looking around saying, "Yeah, this is not the place I want to be long
I
term."
agree with you. I think that
And
that's
that
a factor. I do.
and I worry about that. okay, we talk about trying to go sign free agents. That's great, but if you're not creating a winning atmosphere or a winning environment out there, I got to imagine that as much as we want to talk about some of their young players and talk about the outfielder that's injured. What's his name now? I'm brain farting.
Garcia, Soler.
No, the young kid, the flashy kid, the kid that the meeting was about. Damn it,
He's just second base, Jazz.
Jazz. Yeah, second base, Jazz. I worry about kids like Jazz saying, "Why am I going to be here? Why am I going to stay here long term? This is not good for my brand." That's what they're going to say. And these are the things that you worry about, that you create an atmosphere that even when you do end up, finally finding a couple gems, those gems are going to say, yeah, I'm only going to give you my 6 years and then I got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, but I don't think that is much of an issue because money is going to talk, and Sandy signed here long term. It's more of Orlando, how sports works, which is these players are playing for their team, but they have buddies all around the league, and they're all talking about organizations and what's good and what's bad.
And
And
the Sandy deal, he only signed that because he was so young that you got to take the money now. You were 2 years out till you really were going to become a free agent or anything like that, or and still you were arbitration eligible. So take the money now. But this is the kind of deal that this is the one that bridges you to outright free agency. And so at the end of this deal, he can walk away with no problems, right? He could if he wanted to.
yeah, listen, a lot. It's hard to get players to sign here. People think
I'm
that the
saying,
Marlins are a destination, and like Miami's some crazy destination that people want to come to. Like, I don't
no,
agree with that at all. I mean,
no,
we have not seen that, and
no.
I mean, I guess just once LeBron came here, it's like that was just the assumption that every
No,
player
but
just
that's
wants.
the Heat. That's Pat Riley. You're putting your faith in Pat Riley. That's different than the Miami Marlins.
But
You can
listen,
put your
but just
faith
in
in Pat
general,
Riley if you're LeBron James. You just saw him win with Wade and Shaq in '06. So you can put your faith in Riley that he's going to, and what he's done before and all that. He's built many, many winners. That's a whole different ballgame. You can
right?
put
But it's
your
more
faith.
of the person than the destination. Like the
Yes,
idea that players
exactly.
just want to play in South Florida, I think is a fallacy. I don't think that is true. I
Amen.
think it's the organization, it's the people that are involved in it. And look, if you are a free agent, and I'll use Kyle Schwarber, okay? Kyle Schwarber was a free agent this offseason, and there were some rumors that Miami could have potentially signed him. It has come to my attention that he had zero interest in signing with the Marlins whatsoever. Part of this is that a lot of those players, Orlando, Jock Peterson, they're on 1 year deals or 2 year deals. And then they take a look and say, well, how have free agents fared in Miami offensively? Not very good. This is not a great ballpark to hit in. I'm playing in front of almost no one every single night. It's hard to get jacked up for that sort of thing. And so when you look back and you say, well, man, there must have been someone that they could have just kept and not let go. That's where the key conversation comes in on Starling Marte, that they had that guy signed. And that's the one. And I know they like Luzardo, and he could end up being a good pitcher. But Marte was a leader. He was a player Jazz respected a ton. They would hang out all the time,
He
and
actually wanted to be here.
he said he told me he wanted to be here. They hadn't sorry, my background went off, but they hadn't approached him about a long-term extension until I talked to him. And I saw him at the All-Star game, Orlando. We still go back and we we laugh, and he always gives me a big hug. Like that guy, man. That was one that they had. I mean, he was on the team. They could have signed him to an extension,
Yeah.
and then he went to free agency, and they had no chance at that point. Like, there's people who say that they still should have signed him in free agency. No, the Mets were just unloading that checkbook like nobody's business. So forget that. But could have extended him within the season, and he could have been their starting center fielder. Would it have made a huge difference this year? I don't know, a few games maybe, but
Yeah, no, it's not gonna get you in the playoffs,
no.
but at least it would be a much more, at least a little more entertaining team, you
He's a
know?
good player. He's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, definitely, and if you have an opportunity to keep as many good ones as you can. I mean, listen, when you took over, the fact that you traded Yelich, when that salary was very manageable, that was
That's a
just,
whole nother story.
yeah, that was a whole other story, but still, that was just kinda weird right from the get-go,
I mean, he told Mike Hill, I think it was at the time, that if you trade Stanton, don't call me ever again, or something along. I don't know. I wasn't in the conversation, but something along those lines.
Wow.
And then and then that made its way to Jeter. And then what did Jeter want to do at that point?
Right.
Kidding me? I'm Derek Jeter.
Right. Yeah.
You
You
don't tell me
gonna
what to
tell
do.
me
I tell you what to do.
Yeah. You gonna talk to me like that? Yeah.
Okay, Christian, here's what I got for you. I got Milwaukee for you. Good luck.
Enjoy the brats and the beer,
And he won the
and
MVP.
don't go down the slide. What the hell is
I
that guy
know.
That guy broke his
saw
wrist
that.
and ribs and everything. Come on,
Saw
bro.
that.
And he was screaming like a little girl down that slide the
I mean,
entire
look,
time.
once you're going to do that, you got to know that there's something to be, you got some trouble coming to you. I mean,
You
it was
gotta
pretty obvious. He was going fast down that thing. Like, he was very unprepared. As I
very
would be too. Going to be 50 years old. You're 50 years old. I mean, what are
I'm
we doing, bro?
I'm 55 and I'll ride that and land perfectly on a dot without busting my wrist and ribs. Come on. And I'm not going to be screaming like a little girl down that slide. Come on, bro. That was just weak.
Yeah.
That part was weak. He was
What am
just
I gonna
screaming
say?
like it was like he was terrified.
I mean, I thought after, though, he wore it well. He showed his cast and everything. So.
Yeah, he came back. I give him credit. He did finish off the
Yeah.
job. So I give him credit. But once you've been down that, like I talked about this yesterday, once you've been down the Wet and Wild straight, that Bernie's Brewers slide is, come on, bro.
I'm not big on that sort of stuff, but yes, I understand. I know you love going to those parks and stuff like that. Your daughter's getting old though to go to that, right?
Yeah, she's 22 now. So yeah, she's not doing those things anymore. No. My wife doesn't want to do those either at all. All right, follow him on Twitter at Craig Mish. Catch him on the Sports Grid. Tell him about the Sports Grid, Craig Mish.
Yeah, football season's coming, so a lot of our content is 11 a.m. fantasy football previews now till 12, and then I'm on every day 2 to 3 Eastern on a show called Newswire, where we go around the country and talk about places that have legalized sports betting, which are coming, which may happen, may not happen. We talk about Florida a ton, California, and then the places that are legal, like New York, New Jersey, Kansas, by the way, going to be legal in 2 weeks too.
We had it. We had it here.
We had it for like 2
and then
months.
it slipped right out of our hands.
Did we really have it though? Did we really have it? I don't think so.
Oh, we kind of hey, listen, I ended up winning money with that app. So it was going well for me right now. I mean, listen, I'm on a streak right now with my liquor split matchups of the night. I'm 27-14-1. Okay. That's last 42 games. That's a pretty good streak right there.
65%. Yeah.
That's pretty good right there against the spread. So yeah, no, it was actually going well for me on that app. Damn, that was fun.
It was going well for Calvin Ridley too.
All right, so Sports Greg Swings and Mishes also is the podcast on the Marlins. Make sure you subscribe to that and follow him on Twitter. Much love, Craig. We'll catch up next week, my friend. Appreciate you.
Well, one other thing I would, if you haven't seen it yet, ESPN Plus has the captain. The whole series, and the 7th episode is the one that I'm in. I was in a lot more than I thought I was going to be, so you could check that out too.
Well, I will watch it tonight because I have not watched that stuff.
Yeah, I was in it a lot.
I'll watch that tonight this weekend. And what was the other thing? Oh, I got to watch the Manti Te'o one.
Oh, I know. I'm going to watch that this weekend too.
Those 2 things I got to watch this weekend. The wife just had an operation, so she's up in the bed right now for the rest of the weekend. So it's perfect for us to watch a whole bunch of things together.
There you go. All right. Well, give my best to her and your daughter, and I'll talk to you next week.
You got it, my brother. Much love. There you go. The great Craig Mish. We love him. Follow him on Twitter at Craig Mish. Let's step out of the batter's box.